Fila, you're able to see everything okay?
Yes, Minhal, you're good.
Awesome, perfect. So let's get started. So as Aaron said, my name is Minhal Gardezi. I'm one of the solutions architects here at Aqua Security. Super excited about talking about this topic with you. So we're going to be talking about setting your innovation free, mitigating risk with Aqua Security and ServiceNow, with both myself and Aquila from ServiceNow as well. So a little bit of an agenda here. We're going to start with the challenges of cloud adoption. We're going to talk a little bit about the Aqua platform as well as ServiceNow, and then go through the winning combination and how we come together to help with that vulnerability management. So starting with cloud adoption. So as we know, enterprises are moving to cloud native for a reason. Very easy to experiment with, very fast innovation. We capture new business and it allows you to adapt and grow and scale in a way that we haven't seen before. So cloud adoption is going up and up. And as we know, from Gartner through the statistic that cloud native support will be 95% of new digital initiatives by 2025. But as we're adopting cloud, there's a lot of barriers to the cloud adoption. So you can see some of them outlined here on this slide. Security and compliance concerns, cost, complexity, lack of skills and personnel. So as enterprises are adopting these new technologies, they're also increasing the threat of their cybersecurity attacks. And especially with this lack of skills and personnel, we know security teams currently are understaffed and required to do more with less. So the whole move to cloud integration has introduced a lot more noise due to the amount of assets and the increased use of open source as well. So we have a need here now to detect and track all the vulnerabilities and making sure they're being handled for the next zero-day cyber attack. So we can see some here again, some of the barriers to cloud adoption, as well as some of the shared responsibility that we have. We don't want to only have security in the cloud, but we also want to control all those administrative controls and policies as well. And another great statistic here from Gartner is through 2025, 99% of cloud security failures will be the customer's fault. Our own Aqua's Team Nautilus, they pick up 80,000 attacks a month, as well as 18 unique attacks when it comes to cloud security. And that's definitely something you would want to get on top of, especially if you're adopting this technology. Moving on, when it comes to actually securing it, it's not a unique issue. So if we look at the 2022 security maturity report that went out, we can see that 96% of people, security, compliance, and observability, those are their biggest inhibitors for cloud security, for adopting it. 98% of those actually experienced at least one cloud data breach in the past 18 months. And then finally, there was another survey done by IDC themselves, and basically over half of cloud users rank themselves at the lowest level of cloud security in terms of the maturity of their cloud security. Some information regarding the costs of not having cloud security as well. Cyber attacks and the breach costs are up. So year over year, there's been a 300% increase in cloud native attacks. There's also been a 245% increase in the cost of a data breach between 2020 and 2022. And the average cost of a data breach we're looking at here is 9.4 million. Obviously a significant cost, something that we do want to avoid if we can, and that's where we leverage our own Aqua products. So on my side, we're here to talk about the Aqua Cloud Native Security Platform. We are a CNAPP solution. So what that means is we're a cloud native application security platform. We're going to be securing your environment, both on the DevSec side and the CloudSec side. So that includes software supply chain security for your code, vulnerability and risk scanning when it comes for all your workloads, advanced malware detection and DTA just for extra layers of protection. And then on the CloudSec side, we do have CSPM, Cloud Security Posture Management, Cloud Workload Protection, as well as Kubernetes Security Posture Management. So basically, we like to see that the Aqua platform is a single platform for multiple use cases, kind of gives you one source of security truth for holistically protecting your cloud native applications. And it connects from runtime to your code. So we can pinpoint exactly where vulnerabilities start and stop them as quickly as possible. Moving ahead from here, we're going to see some information about our cloud, Aqua Cloud Native Security Application Platform. So one thing we do here is pull in all your inventory to our platform once we connect to your cloud accounts. So we like to consider ourselves pretty cloud agnostic. We integrate with multiple types of cloud accounts, multiple types of deployments, and we secure all kinds of workloads from VMs to managed Kubernetes, containers as a service, as well as serverless functions. We don't want to miss anything. We want to have this entire visibility within our environment and understand all the vulnerabilities we're going to be seeing. Also on that side, we do have insights. So we want to, with all the noise we're creating in our platform, we're going to have a misconfiguration from here, vulnerability from there. We want to provide you insights onto what's most important and urgent to fix. So when it comes to these insights, we'll have a lot of compounded vulnerabilities that combine with different misconfigurations, like having excessive privileges, and we'll surface those top insights into your account as well. And this we'll talk about later. This will also integrate with one of our ServiceNow integrations as well. And finally, out of the box, we do have analytics of our own. We do have an analytics page within our Aqua Hub, within the console of the UI. So this analytics page, it's going to give us great reporting capabilities, from VM vulnerability reports to container vulnerability reports. And we will lay out all the information you need right here, including unique vulnerabilities, unique repos, etc. But these interactive reports are really helpful, but at the same time, don't solve the complete issue of doing complete vulnerability management. And that's where we like to tie in with ServiceNow. So, Akila?
Yep. Thank you, Minhal. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to give you a quick overview of ServiceNow Container Vulnerability Response application. As Minhal walked us through, once you scan vulnerabilities across your applications, there's a need to have a unified view of all the vulnerabilities across enterprise. And ServiceNow Vulnerability Response application helps us get a single pane of glass view of all the vulnerabilities across the enterprise. And as you see, the vulnerability response application, it helps you to integrate with scanners like Aqua, from which you can import the vulnerabilities. And once you import it, you can automate the prioritization using the auto assignment rules or the risk score calculator that gets shipped out of the box with the product. And using that information, it becomes really easy for the security champions or the DevOps team or the security teams to triage and remediate the vulnerabilities quickly, which is where most of the time is spent by these teams going through, what do I triage first? What do I remediate first? What is my priority at the given moment? So that really is, the ServiceNow Vulnerability Response applications give them that unified and view, and also a single pane of view of all the vulnerabilities in one page. And once remediated, you can use the downstream workflows like change management to record the production changes and close the loop. So based on the need to track different vulnerabilities, ServiceNow Vulnerability Response application got evolved into different modules like application vulnerability and container vulnerabilities. For today, I'll be deep diving into the container vulnerability response application. Next slide, please. So the container vulnerability response module, as I said, is designed to bring in the container vulnerabilities from a scanner like Aqua. Once you bring in that, it also creates, the data model that is required to store the Docker image and the image repository. All that is built into this module. So I would like to quickly walk through the key features of the container vulnerability response. First one being, containers are ephemeral in nature, meaning they're short-lived, right? Once you build a new image, the older one gets dropped out. The ServiceNow creates vulnerable items pointing to image repository or specific Docker image records in the configuration management database. That way, you're not just tracking the running container instances. You have the link back to the source image, which you can go and mitigate the vulnerability. Next slide. And ServiceNow allows customer to decide the granularity. So just to take a step back, a vulnerable item is a combination of a vulnerability, which is a CVE existing on a container image, for the ease of simplicity, right? So that can be, the customers can drive the granularity of how they want to create each vulnerable item. They can choose to create a vulnerable item one per repository and CV combination, or using the image tag or the namespace. They can use this configuration to drive the granularity. And ServiceNow automatically tracks any vulnerabilities fixed in old versions and also closes those vulnerable items automatically. Sometimes scanners might not provide this intelligence, but since we have that information already on the ServiceNow platform, the application provides you the snapshot of vulnerabilities found, and you don't need to remember the history of that. And you can track the vulnerable items in base image that's highlighted on the screen here. So many times what happens is the base image might be handled by a different team versus the actual image that's already running in the production environment. So if you select that base image option, that creates a separate record to be tracked and gets assigned to a different team like DevOps. So that way, both the vulnerability is getting mitigated at both the places, at the base image level as well as at the running container level. Next one, please. So before I give it to Minhal back, the remediation owners can also raise exception request or false positive request that workflows are already built into the container vulnerability response module. And it also has the multiple level of approval system built into it. That way, when the exception is raised, it goes to an appropriate approver and gets approved. And then, it gets flagged as exception has been requested for this vulnerability. So now I'll give it back to Minhal to tie these two products together and how we have integrated and what value we are driving from that.
Thank you, Akila. So yeah, wonderful. So that's what I'm here to do. I want to tie everything together, how Aqua and ServiceNow can work together hand in hand. So basically, our unified scanner is going to provide accurate and consistent results across the application lifecycle, saving time and resources. We're going to get all these vulnerabilities for you and lay them out as clearly as possible. But obviously, we want to integrate with the vulnerability management tool, get all of our vulnerabilities pulled into those container vulnerability items. So firstly, I would like to talk about our initial ServiceNow integration with our response policies. So this is not going to necessarily fully help with vulnerability management, but we are able to send different triggers and actions to ServiceNow based on things that are happening in our environment, including those insights I talked about earlier, different scan results that we might have, such as assets with critical vulnerabilities, or incidents that are going on in our console, whether it be behavioral, malware, any sort of incident that we are finding out. We can set off a trigger and then set it off with our ServiceNow integration with a JSON template that we have integrated within our response policies as well. But the big thing we're here to talk about is the Aqua app within ServiceNow. So within ServiceNow, we'll have our own Aqua Security app. Within the integration configuration, all you'll need to enter is basically your cloud URL, which at this point, if you're using SaaS, would just be cloud.aquasec.com, along with your username and password. And with that, we'll be able to set off our integration as well as our schedule and basically pull in all the vulnerabilities within ServiceNow. So automating this vulnerability management and incident response within ServiceNow provides a lot of value as opposed to just seeing the vulnerabilities in the list. We're going to reduce the amount of false positives and will allow the vulnerabilities to land in the hands of where they need to be fixed as well. So you can see here on the container vulnerability items page, we do have the CVIT number as well as the summary, information about the image repository, the risk score, the risk rating, and the severity and state. We'll also be pulling in things from Aqua, such as our Aqua scopes, as well as our Aqua remediation options. If we go deeper into the view, I apologize if this is a bit small, but as I said, we're going to have the source here. That's going to be Aqua Security. A lot of the same things Akila was showing us earlier, including the CVE, Docker image info, image repository info, as well as the discovered container image. And then from here, we will have a summary of the vulnerability that is pulled in from our Aqua vulnerability database, as well as under notes, any notes we have in ServiceNow. And then in the Aqua Security tab, that's where we'll be labeling our different application scopes.
Yeah, just to add a couple of more points here, Minhal. If the customer is running the Kubernetes ITSM discovery in their environment, it also correlates based on the Docker image. It brings in all the image clusters and the namespaces that's already available in the CMTP and gets highlighted on the CVIT, which is the Container Vulnerability Item Record. So using that makes it really easy to drive the auto assignment rules to send these CVITs to appropriate assignment groups for the remediation to happen. So that makes it a very neat transition and an also automated workflow.
Awesome. Thank you for that point. And just as a final slide, just basically what we're doing here is we're gaining visibility, we're saving time, we're reducing risk, we're going to be able to prove our compliance, and finally consolidate and optimize. So with the power of Aqua's scanning ability, as well as the vulnerabilities, combined with ServiceNow's vulnerability management, you'll be able to take care of those vulnerabilities as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And one plug I just want to really quickly do before we end the presentation is come see us at RSA. I myself won't be there, but Akila will be driving this presentation. So driving value from confusion, transforming alert fatigue into business efficiency using Aqua and ServiceNow. That'll be on Wednesday, April 26th at 10:30 a.m. PST. So thank you from both Aqua and ServiceNow. So any questions there? In terms of when the integration will be available, so that is, I would say very soon. Eli, I'm not sure if you have a specific date on that, but we do plan to bring this integration to be GA very soon. And we will likely try to align that with RSA as well.
I can
go ahead and answer some of these questions live.
I can take the next question. What Snow components are required to integrate Aqua to Snow? So for the integration purposes, we need entitlement for the container vulnerability response. But if you have the ITSM Kubernetes discovery running, you can leverage the value of the integration with added data points, as I was talking about. If you can have the Kubernetes cluster information, namespace information, that really helps you to drive the assignment rules much better. But that's not limited. You can still do the assignment rules based on the data that's getting populated on the discovered items. You can still use that to drive the assignment rules.
One question about demonstration. So there was a technical issue with the demo for today. So one thing we wanted to make sure that we highlight is that there is a demo environment available. And if you do have, if you're curious about that, I believe we have video resources. We can also do a follow-up. So while we answer these other questions, I'm going to launch this poll. And if you want to see a more in-depth demo, or you want some help actually installing and configuring, say you have both Aqua and ServiceNow VR, and you didn't realize that this integration was out there, and you want some, some guided support in installing that, we'd definitely be, I think Eli and team would be all about, following up with you and helping with some of those activities. So it could be demo, could be more of like a live support on that. All right, so see, that's answered. And then do we want to address, when the integration is available is the next question in my list. So this integration is currently still in beta, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Aaron.
Right. So one of the follow-ups, if you do indicate yes in the follow-up, you can be included in that beta as well. So there are customers who are already testing this on an ongoing. So as soon as those feedbacks are finished, the beta will be finalized, and this will go GA. But obviously the Aqua team wants to fold those feedbacks into the integration before releasing it generally, so that everyone gets the benefit of those changes. So again, like if you can indicate yes on the survey, then we'd definitely be interested in getting you a preview of that.
I see a question. Aqua will be integrated with module vulnerability response and config compliance or containers. So it's integrated with vulnerability response containers specifically, not for config compliance.
So that container and not container VR and not container CC just yet. Question from Gail: how to tie Aqua vulnerable items into our CMDB, or if they create CIs? Do you want to go back into any of the demo screenshots and show how those are created, or show where those you would expect to see those?
Yeah, just to quickly walk Gail through here. So as I was showing on my, Minhal, do you have the screen back where I was?
Yeah, I can reshare the slides 1 second.
Thank you.
Just let me know what slide you wanna.
Just first slide, you can go back to after the work. Yeah, next, yeah. As you see here, once the data comes into the ServiceNow platform, let's say if there was no discovery running and you don't have the data in CMDB already, the discover container image gets created from which a CI is created, as you see the Docker image, and that builds a relationship already, and you can use that. So basically, that's how the CI gets tied to. And also the docs.servicenow.com has a lot more information on how this is currently working. So you can refer to that for more detail.
I have a note from Eli saying that actually we've already gone to beta or to GA certification. So integration ETA is actually just a couple of weeks. So that's sort of fresh off the presses for everyone who's attending the webinar today. We expect this, by probably early May, would be the sort of approximate timeline at this point. Right. So again, we have about 2/3 participating in the poll. If you're interested in, obviously, getting an announcement, like say you want to get an announcement of that integration availability as soon as it's done, we will reach out directly. The Aqua team will reach out directly and get in contact with you. So if there's any interest in getting on that list as well, just indicate so in the poll question. Any other technical questions regarding the integration, how it works? Okay. I'll leave it to Minhal. Eli, any closing thoughts? Oh, question in 1 second. There's a chat question as well. 1 second. Okay. How does ServiceNow stay up to date with the CVE landscape across containers and images? Because containers, are ephemeral, basically.
Yeah.
So how do we understand, when a CV is detected by Aqua and when it's actually remediated, and what does that look like? So, Akila, do you want to take this?
Yeah, feel free to add. I don't know if you have any other thoughts there. So one thing the container vulnerability response module has offered is auto close configuration, which is set to by default 1 day, given the nature of the containers is really ephemeral. They just disappear or they're trashed within a day or so. So you bring in and we create a record for that particular image and the CVE combination. And then in the next run, they get updated as closed if that's not found. So the vulnerability might have been remediated and there's a new image created. So it creates a new record. That way, you know that the old image is gone. And then you can still tie it back to the base image. So if the base image is still existing at different location, or if you want to go fix the vulnerability on the base image, you can still do that.
Yeah, because they're sort of more like a snapshot behavior versus, patching an application that's like, constantly running or continuous in runtime. So it's a little bit different than your VR infrastructure model. All right. We have another question. Is there a list of Snow or ServiceNow modules required for the Aqua integration? And are there any additional that are optional? So I guess if there's anything that can be used to enhance the behavior of Aqua, that's not necessarily a prerequisite. And Aqua response policies are required to send data from Aqua to ServiceNow. That I think, I'll let you take that third one. So for ServiceNow modules, it's our application vulnerability response. Check me on that, Aquila. Is that right?
Container vulnerability. Yeah.
Container vulnerability. Sorry.
Yeah.
So part of our, I believe it's part of our pro package. And additional modules, I don't believe at this time we have like an intelligence offering along with that. We do have integrations that bring in additional data, over and above what's in, the CVE, like NVD database. So it's possible that we could relate that data to, Aqua vulnerabilities based on keying on that CVE field. I don't think there's anything out of the box for that just yet, but that's a good thought as to things that you could do if you already have that data coming into ServiceNow through another integration. And then, Minhal, can you address the question on Aqua response policies?
Absolutely. So response policies is actually a feature that's already enabled right now within Aqua Hub. So that is more of a notification system integration. So that's going to be set off by certain triggers in the Aqua console. Like I said, it could be scan results, it could be specific incidents within your environment, as well as those insights we surface. So that's separate from the actual new integration we were showing today. So that integration is still able to be used. That requires just a simple ServiceNow integration that you would do within the Aqua console. But in order to configure the container vulnerability response and all those container vulnerabilities coming into ServiceNow, we would configure the actual plugin and module within ServiceNow. So I'm sorry if I didn't separate those two items a little bit, but just for a little bit of clarification, the response policies, that's a separate side.
All right. Then another question. How does Aqua and ServiceNow for container vulnerabilities differentiate between SAST and DAST, like the code versus the runtime?
Yeah. So at the moment, this is the data that's being brought up or imported is dynamic, which is runtime vulnerabilities on the containers, not the static ones. But definitely the application vulnerability response does have support for static and dynamic, but for container, it's more of runtime. Because, runtime is, both are important, the base image or the static versus the runtime. But in container case, you really want to know where the container is running to go ahead and address that. So the current support for the container is more on the runtime vulnerabilities.
All right. Great. Well, we've made a note of those who'd like to be contacted afterwards. Look forward to working with you in the future on this, this integration. Any final comments, Minhal or Aquila?
No, I'm excited to see where this integration goes. I do think it's going to be very useful for both Aqua and ServiceNow users. Yep. And I appreciate everyone for the time as well. And see whoever comes to RSA as well.
Yeah, I would
question.
Okay.
Another question.
Gail wants to know, are you saying only runtime events are input in ServiceNow right now and not image scans?
So probably, Gail, we can confirm back to you on that. But runtime definitely we are supporting.
Yeah, that probably needs a little bit of clarification. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and indeed, like we are, we'll be at a few different events at Aqua. We have ServiceNow folks there. So obviously look forward to seeing you. And I think we may also have a session at the Aqua booth, if I'm not mistaken. So Kila, do you know when that is off the top of your head?
Minhal just shared that it's on Wednesday,
yep.
27th at, if you want to share that back, Minhal.
All that out. Wednesday.
I have a slide for it.
There we go. All right. Okay.
Oh, no. Come see us at RSA. That'll be Wednesday, April 26th at 10:30 a.m. PST.
And obviously, you don't have to come just at that point to ask any questions about the integration. More than welcome to visit the Aqua booth and let them know if you want to have sort of a joint follow-up. We're more than happy to assist the Aqua team as they launch this integration. This for the rest of this year.
And we'll have some incredible technical resources at that booth. So feel free to stop by any questions you have.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. I'm going to thank everybody for your attention, staying with us a little bit past the half-hour mark. If we have an update on the content with the integration, obviously there's some interest in, other use cases. And so as those activate and launch, we will probably follow up in the same forum. So look for those announcements in the future and hopefully join us for those updates. And we look forward to seeing you soon.